you guys? Welcome back to the Idealist Conspiracy. I'm your girl, Shani B.
And it's your man, Zamal Allen, Babalao Ofumbile.
The credentialed man.
So our topic for today is ungodly, the deification of our problems. Now, this is going to be something that most people have not heard a lot about because as well as a mental health thing, it's an Ifa-centric type of topic and concept that has to do with spirits and entities that we don't often feel like we're dealing with or seeing, but we are dealing with them on a daily basis.
Yes, and I'm going to be learning alongside you guys because I am not extremely knowledgeable in regards to this topic. So I will start with my first question to Amal. So what exactly do you mean by the deification of our problems?
So in Ifa, there's a concept called Elenini. And Elenini is a spiritual amalgamation of both mental and emotional material that basically creates a spirit that hunts you based off of your own negative suppressions, right? So someone who has depression has an Ilenini that is a spirit that is made from their own compressed, like pretty much like this. Like liquor is fermented fruits and vegetables, right? All right. The deification of a problem is, let's say all your thoughts and emotions that are negative, they ferment and create like this strong liquor made of that negativity. That negativity becomes like a spirit that hunts you based off of your own negative experiences. It reminds you of the things that are negative in your life that it needs to feed on to exist. Because, by the way, it's not real. Now, spirits are real. Spiritual guides, spiritual entities, spiritual ancestors, or even spirits that are more angelic and enlightened in force. But these spirits, which are not real spirits, but spirits that come from your own mental and emotional escape, that come from your own mental emotional material. And so they are very hard to get off of you because it would be easy to get a spiritual negativity that has attracted itself to you because of something negative you were doing, or because of something negative that happened to you early in your life, or from curses or spells or whatever, stuff like that. Those can be removed quite easily. But an Ilenini cannot, because it is anchored to you by your own thoughts and emotions.
Okay. So what does this have to do with the Orisha, and how does it kind of tie in?
So the Orishas are what they would consider angelic forces of light. They are spiritual entities that incarnate whole aspects of creation. Like whole quadrants of creation are basically encompassed within one Orisha's life force, or the Odu specifically inherent to that Orisha or that energy. Right? The Orishas are part of what we need energetically to pull away from the Eleninis, the negative spirits, the negative entities that we create, right? But the stories of the Patakis help us to realize that the Elenini, or these negative spirits, have always been a part of the human story, because we don't realize that we are spiritual beings while having a physical experience, simultaneously having a spiritual experience as well.
Is this something that will kind of appear more subtly within person to person, or is it something that will be kind of exaggerated when you look at somebody?
The truth of the matter is, the exaggerated ones are the ones we know the best, right? The ones that everybody can see. But the truth of the matter is, it is a more subtle thing, because
like a drug addict?
Somewhat similar. So a drug addict would be someone who has went all the way down the hole of basically probably having a multitude of Eleninis around them, right? On top of the fact that they've completely given in to feeding that negativity within those spirits. So whatever negativity that spirit is born from within yourself, that's what it needs to feed on to exist. So it needs you to be a certain way to keep it there. Because once you disperse it by not being connected to that negativity, it can no longer be around you. So you'll see it more in like people who you see have these huge problems. But the truth of the matter is, it exists in people with major and more subtle or smaller problems. And the only people who really notice it are spiritual people. Spiritual people can notice it in the people who are successful and the people who are not successful in life, or the people who are rich and the people who are poor in life. Most people will only see it in people who are doing very badly. But it doesn't mean that people who are doing great don't have them.
Oh, okay. Okay. So how does someone deal with the deification of their problems?
Right. So one thing you want to do is you want to stop worshiping your issues. How do we do this? You talk about it all the damn time. Some people talk about their negative experiences, their negative feelings, their negative attitudes, and other people's negative characteristics all day long. Some people don't realize they'll come back to you and talk about the same problem over and over again, not realizing that they're addicted to their problem.
Right.
Which doesn't realize is that they're starting to worship at the altar of their problem, where they're starting to pray to their problem. They don't realize they're doing it because they, as human beings, we minimize our influence on the world around us. Like we have no influence on reality or how things go. But you do. You have a strong influence on everything that's happening to you and around you. So when you keep focusing on your problem, you make it a bigger problem. And then the Elenini that becomes an amalgamation of emotions and thoughts that comes from that process will hunt you to keep maintaining that negativity in your life. You see it physically when you date people who harp on negative existences in your life and keep you focused on it as well. So it's like if you are in a relationship and you have a drug problem, right? But your partner has a drug problem and your partner is the one that got you started, right? That partner will keep you in circumstances that'll make you want to get high, and that person will keep you getting high. So that the Elenini is just like that externalized relationship with that person you care about who keeps getting you high because they need to get high and they want to keep you sick with them. The difference is that this is a spiritual force that is outside of you that is feeding on the same negativity it was born from.
Right. So what will it feel like when you start to kind of try to change that process? Like, what is that going to feel like for most of the people who have these type of issues? Is it going to feel uncomfortable? Are they going to feel depressed? Like, what are they going to feel like?
Very uncomfortable. The longer they're a part of your life, the longer they feel like a natural pillar to your existence. But they're not. They're a phantom pillar that doesn't even really exist. But they've convinced you that they hold up a decent part of your life, right? So you don't chop the tree down. It tells you, oh, I'm holding up this whole part of your life. Like there are a lot of people, especially within African American culture, where we don't realize that we deify our righteous anger.
Yes, sure.
Now, black people in America, we have a lot to be upset about. We have a lot of things to be irritated about. But if you just sit there and hold on to that anger throughout your life, it will just destroy you. It won't harm none of your enemies. They're not in your head. They're not in your heart. You ain't gonna hurt nobody else but you. So when you start to, you deify the self-righteous feeling that you have to fight the fights that you have to fight. So you start to worship your rage because you know it's righteous. And so whether you know it or not, that anger sits at the foot of your bed and you kiss its feet every night before you go to bed. Because you don't realize that you're serving it.
Oh my God, I do this sometimes. I'm realizing.
We all have points and places and positions in which we do it and where we have done it. We don't realize these are the amalgamations of our thoughts and feelings. You focus on a certain type of thought, it attracts a certain type of feeling, and the amalgamation process starts. Now, it's not as easy as you think one negative thing, you feel one negative thing, you create this thing. This is created over long periods of time of not realizing that you focus a lot on this. Because you focus a lot on it, the feelings are attracted to it. And it's like your thoughts is preparing a seed of light. Your emotions is watering the plant so it'll grow. So imagine watering a plant that's like the little shops of horrors. That's just, feed me, Seymour, feed me. That's exactly what you're doing when you create an Elenini. You are creating a little shop of horrors. But they don't physically exist, so you don't physically acknowledge them, which makes them even more subtle.
Right.
They
Yeah.
know they're not real, and they love to make you think that they're not real either. So you can't. So you actually don't get on a plane of existence that helps you to deal with it. That's why they say the
Right.
greatest trick the devil ever pulled was making people think that he didn't exist. It's not talking about no great overwhelming evil. It's your own negativity that you assume doesn't exist.
Right. Mm. So, what is the process of dealing with the deification?
So one thing that often is like the easiest way to help yourself is and I'm not telling people go get initiated and start practicing, because it's a big commitment spiritually to want to do this and to want to get initiated. And you shouldn't do this just because you think you're going to fix a problem. This is about thriving. Spirituality is not about surviving. It's about thriving. You may open that door wanting to survive, but when you get here, it has to be about thriving and living in alignment with your life. If you don't want that, ultimately what you're going to do is you're going to begin Ide and you're going to enter Osobo. And Ide is positivity, Osobo is negativity. It's the natural results of your behaviors and actions. It isn't some over-encompassing evil that's looking for you. It's your own actions that's creating a negativity that attracts these negatives to your life. Right? So in that process, you just want to calm down and you want to go get your reading. Go get you a reading from an Orisha priest or from a Babala or from a spiritualist, but somebody who you trust, who has a good reputation, right? And if you can't trust them because you don't know them, at least look around and look at their reputation. They have a good reputation. They have a good character. These are the people that you want to speak to spiritually, because great character brings great power. Anyone who says they have power and they have a bad character, they have a lot of ile ninis around them. They're not that powerful, they're not that strong. Because the presence of true power, it not only one, it humbles you, but also number two, it makes you responsible, because you realize what it's asking of you that it would even give you that. Right? And so if you're not going to be if a person isn't really responsible, don't believe in their ability to have any power or to create any change in the world. Because in order to create that change, you need to be responsible.
Definitely need to be responsible. Is there any closing information that you'd like to leave people with when they're maybe looking at themselves and thinking, dang, I do this like myself?
I would say that you can, like I said, one of the best things you can do is actually go get a spiritual reading of some kind. It may not make you aware automatically of the ile nini, but what it will do is it'll make you aware of the Osobo that you're living in, which is attracting that ile nini and rooting it to your existence.
What about for people who may be watching our videos that don't feel as comfortable with going and getting a reading? Is there something else that people can do to...
You recognize these same types of patterns that these types of spirits exist in the material world through psychological assessments. So if you go get mental health support, when you do, the person is going to make an assessment of you in some shape or form, either for the sake of diagnosis or for the sake of just understanding what the presenting problem is. Once they do that, that's going to support you in sitting down with them and working with them mentally. You don't have to work spiritually for something that is also not just a spiritual thing, but a mental thing as well. So the first thing you can do outside of going to go see a spiritual seeker of light to try to get a reading is to go get some mental health support. Because if you meet a good mental health professional, they'll help you identify the patterns that the ile nini is feeding on anyway, which is going to be a problem in your life that's going to come out as a presenting problem in your mental health. But outside of that, like shopping for a good therapist is harder than finding a good spiritual person. So when you go look for a therapist, don't judge the therapeutic process off of the first couple therapists that you meet. You have to shop for a therapist. If you don't vibe with them, if you don't feel like when they say something to you, it affects you, you don't feel like you trust them, then you don't have no business working with them as far as mental health is concerned, because you don't even believe in them.
Right.
So shop for a therapist, shop for a spiritual person. I was somebody who was really lucky that when I came into spirituality, I came into someone automatically as far as meeting someone who was a spiritual authority I had met
Mm-hmm.
somebody who I respected right off the bat, whose behavior and character I respected, who was a good person. And so I was immediately like blessed right off the bat. When a lot of people do meet really sorry or shitty spiritual people that make their journey difficult and
Right.
actually puts them a step behind rather than a step ahead, you know?
Right. Yeah. Awesome. Well, this has definitely been food for thought for me. I really hope that everyone else kind of can self-reflect as well and kind of get the help needed. I will definitely be doing so. Um,
Right.
we thank you guys so much for watching. We are the Idealist Conspiracy. Again, like, tell them, Mama, what they gonna do?
I need you to like and I need you to subscribe. The information,
And
we're going to
comment.
keep it flowing. And comment, my bad. Like, comment, subscribe, okay? And we need to keep this moving because we want to keep information coming out and we want to keep helping people to get educated on some of these spiritual, mental, and physical concepts that will support you having the life that you want to live, right?
Yes. Awesome. See you guys next time.